Thank you very much for joining us for today's webinar. Let me introduce myself. My name is Yap from the Department of Accountancy, Faculty of Accountancy and Management, FAM, Utah, which is Sungai Long campus. This Utah CEO Talk Series is actually jointly organized by the Center for Corporate and Community Development, which is the CCD, together with UNOMED Center, Faculty of Accountancy and Management, FAM, and of course with the cooperation of the Malaysian Institute of Certified Public Accountants, MICPA. Myself will be moderating today's webinar, which is appropriately titled Agile Leadership During Times of Testing by Encik Novi Tajuddin, CEO of MICPA. A little bit of housekeeping. If you have any questions or any queries, feel free, please type them out into the chat box, which is available in the Zoom control panel. Of course, I will bring them up and highlight it during the Q&A sessions. Will be slotted at the end of this webinar. A little bit about biodata about Encik Novi Tajuddin. He has been the CEO of MICPA since 2018 and brought with him a wealth of experience in the education industry and commercial sector. Before MICPA, Encik Novi served as the COO of Education Malaysia Global Services, EMGS, an agency under the Ministry of Higher Education, and as a Director, Strategy and Engagement for Yayasan Peneraju, which is an agency under the Prime Minister's Office. Encik Novi has been appointed as Education Committee member of MARA since 2020, and has also recently been conferred as a joint professor of UNITA International University. On the commercial side, he used to be the regional CFO of Getronics, Asia Pacific and Japan, which is a Dutch company, which oversaw operations globally, including Southeast Asia region, India, Taiwan, Korea, and Japan. He had held key positions in various entities such as Blue Consulting, the Japanese company, the AI Group, Mimos Berhad, and Board of Directors of Technology Park Malaysia, TPM, within the year 2017 and 2020. He holds a Bachelor in Accounting and Finance, honors from the Montfort University, Leicester, UK based, and he's also a member of MIA, Malaysian Institute of Accountants, and of course fellow member of CIMA, Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, UK. With over 25 years of experience in general management, accounting and finance, operations, business development, strategic planning, and strategic engagement, and also in IT consulting and outsourcing industry. Encik Novi is well versed in the area of planning, strategy, engagement, business process, financial planning and analysis accounting, HR, human resource, and payroll outsourcing. Encik Novi brings a unique composition of experience in multinationals and local conglomerates. So without further delay, I will hand over the mic to Encik Novi. So the floor is all yours, Encik Novi.
All right. Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to everyone. To those Muslims, today I wish you selamat berpuasa. Yeah. So although fasting today, but it is not an excuse for me not to give a talk, right? So I think thank you to Utah for the opportunity for me to share some topics and so forth and experience with students, and I do understand some lecturers as well today. Thank you to Dr. Sia, Mr. Ko, who is also the co-opted member of MIPA Education Training Committee, and also to Ms. Lim, Wei Jin, and behind the screen, like Ms. Sheza and Ms. Lim. Thank you and a very good morning to all. Today, the topic that been chosen actually is agile leadership during times of testing. To me, agile leadership during times of testing is very, very important and relevant because we actually have gone through, many cycles, not just in Malaysia but worldwide. And then we look at it that this is very key for us to prepare ourselves, if not for the organization, but it's also for ourselves as a person. And as usual, when we talk about organization, it will bring up to the nation. And this is where it will lead to a better situation in the country. So let's go through my slide. I think this one is already being read by Mr. Yap. So I think this is also already been covered where I am today. Thank you for reading out just now. Yeah, I was also in the Education Malaysia Global Services. For some students who are not very sure, this is actually an agency which promote the Malaysia education at international level, yeah, under the Ministry of Higher Education. So I work closely with the universities, whether it's public or private universities during that time. Yeah. And Getronics is covered, and I was also work with the Japanese firm and called Abim Consulting, which I helped to turn around the company. And many various companies that I worked for in the past, for your information. Yeah. This is my family. Just want to share with you before I start talking, the backbone of me, you know. And you can see here, I got 2 kids and 1 wife, and then I enjoy watching movies. And then the recent one that being developed because of the pandemic is PS4, FIFA. This I always say that this is big boys, or I mean, not just necessarily the kids that love to play PS4, but people like me, although I'm 51 this year, but I still play PS4 during my free time. Sometimes it's a relief. It is a good way to go, you know, to play. Although if I lost the game to my son, he's very good in this, but then it doesn't mean that, you know, it is not relieving your stress. So this is a way of me spending time with my family as well, for information. All right. If you look at it, right, striking a balance during the testing time, I think this is the, sorry, let's push up. Yeah. Life is all about balance, what you want to hold on to and what to let go. So to me, when you look at it, it looks ridiculous, it looks impossible, but it can be done. It's just a matter of how you prepare yourself, how you actually strike a balance, and especially during these testing times in which that we are hit by a lot of factors, be it the economy, be it the life of people we love. Yeah, some people who have lost their loved ones during the pandemic, and that has passed for the past 2 years, in which that now we are already going into the endemic. I will touch on that matter later in one of my slides. So before that, we talk about the leadership, because it's a leadership during the testing times. So you look at it, leaders are not just the managers. We are actually leading a group of people or organization, and then involved in establishing a clear vision, sharing, you're not just establishing it, but sharing it with others so that the others will actually understand, appreciate, and will follow you, right? Otherwise, you are not a leader, because you don't actually inspire them, you don't actually share with them, you don't really motivate them, so you don't actually share what exactly the ultimate goal or objective that you want to achieve. Because without them believing it in you, it is very difficult for you to become a good leader. Yeah. So it is an art of motivating a group of people. It is also to inspire others, and at the same time, driving people. Yeah, driving people towards achieving a common goal. So this is the leadership. So I put a few definition of keywords of our, what they call this topic today. Agile leadership means instill trust in the people, create transparency, open to constructive criticism, so that great work can be achieved. Not necessarily that you are a leader, but you cannot accept any criticism. In order for you to improve yourself, you need to open to constructive criticism so that great work can be achieved. Focus on the vision and customers, yeah, if you are actually delivering to the customers. So time of testing, unsteady movement, situation, violent, disturbed from a calmer state by various forces. So calmer state that we've been going through all these years, suddenly being hit because of the COVID-19. Nobody knows, you know, and we are caught actually by surprise by all this. All of a sudden in 2019, the world actually being hit, not just Malaysia in 2020. Yeah. So The word strike a balance is to achieve a state in which different things occur in equal or proper amounts and have an equal or proper amount of importance, trying to strike a balance, example, family matters versus work life and economy. Later, when I talk, we will cover all these areas of that definition. The economy outlook that been shared by the economists has shown that we actually have moving towards the right path, and the road to recovery is long, but it's actually we're going to be there. It has also been shared that economy outlook for 2022 in the Star newspaper, the GDP to expand 5.5 to 6.5%, and this information is very crucial and important to all sectors, be it in the business, be it in the industry, be it in the education industry, like universities like Utah. So everyone everyone needs to understand and need to position and strategize how and so forth in order for you to be together to achieve the economy outlook with the GDP that is expanding. So I put this slide, right? If you look at it, pre-COVID-19 pandemic, endemic, right? And give me a minute. Okay, I need to move this cursor. Yeah. So pre-COVID-19, pandemic, endemic, and post-COVID-19. Because if you look at this, it is before pre-COVID and testing time, and then after, which is the post-COVID. In this definition, I look at it, testing time is during the pandemic and endemic, and we are here at endemic. The border is open now. You all can meet up actually physically. Students can actually attend the physical class. So actually the endemic is there because we all are quite, I mean, majority I would say maybe 90% of us, or some of them are anti, what they call it, booster and anti-vaccine. They don't take, but majority of us are already vaccinated, and we are here and we are in the endemic. And that's the reason why we are all open and can go to the public and can have face-to-face meeting and so forth. Yeah. So the industry that I mentioned just now, it can be construction, retail, education, and maybe for this round, because we are talking to Utah, we emphasize on the education industry. We look at it that we are moving. So this is the big picture that we are moving from before, during the testing times, and after. All right. In order to have an agile leadership skills and attributes, so you need to be able to look at, I believe in plan and strategy, which is the scenario planning and so forth. You need to have that. And then you can see that how you manage change, how you actually do the training, upskill and reskill of the people, of the team, yeah, in order to keep up and manage the situation during the pandemic or even endemic now, yeah. And communication, I round this, I circle this 3 points: risk, impact analysis, and also communication, because these are, to me, very key. Because you, as a leader, in order to manage the situation, you need to communicate well, be it virtually now, and you need to communicate with the stakeholders. Everyone, when I say stakeholders, there are so many parties, yeah, students, lecturers, staff. So all need to understand what is it, your plan and strategy that as a leader that you need to move forward with the organization. You need to mitigate the risks. You need to understand what are the risks that actually going to face by the organization, and then do an impact analysis for different scenarios. Because it's like a what if analysis. What happens if I take this plan A? What if I take plan B? What would be the impact if I take plan C? And then you need to also consider the technology on how you actually the organization can move forward with the technology. Are they all equipped? Because if during the endemic and pandemic, I think technology is very crucial. We all experience it. Even now, we are still doing online basis. Even this talk is also online, and technology plays an important role for this to become a successful talk today. So in terms of overall perspective, you need to have the big view of this big scenario, what I call is the big picture of all the scenarios, so that you will be able to plan and strategize well. On the left side, if you look at it, there are some points that I used, that I mentioned, ERRC. I'm not sure whether maybe in the management subject, is it covered today, but the ERRC is being used in terms of eliminate, raise, reduce, and create. What does it mean by that? You strategize by putting up, you have come up with a plan, you have come up with a strategy, what you want to do, but in order to ensure that everything is on the right path, what you do is you revisit all the strategies that you already have and in hand. You also look at it, whether you can eliminate anything that you've been keeping it with you, whether it is still relevant or not in the industry today. Because, for example, right, if in the past we only talk to students face-to-face physical talk, but we need to ensure that now we need to have during the pandemic, must be online, but now during the endemic, it's going to be hybrid. So you need to eliminate certain elements that are relating to just physical only. You need to ensure that then the next thing is you find out that which one is more effective. Maybe you need to raise those things. Maybe your engagement with your stakeholders, is it via hybrid is much better, or is it that via a physical is much better? So sometimes as a human being, of course, we still miss the time that we're going to talk to people face-to-face physically, because like this now, I'm talking to all of you, including lecturers and students. I can't see the reaction. I can see the gestures, because it's like I'm talking to the wall. But because we're used to it, we know, then we realize that, okay, maybe this is the best way for us to talk to people. And I also shared before this that if we, during the pandemic, we can even reach the advantage of having the online, we can even talk to people, can reach the number of 1,000 participants or more, because people are actually reaching to us in many areas and so forth, yeah, not just at the physical venue, yeah. And then you reduce maybe things that you do not want to do anymore, so you reduce that activities. Then some ideas that come up from your brainstorming, there are things that you want to create new in order to cater for the new requirements after the pandemic, which is during the endemic now. So I think these are the 4 areas, which is the tool that I call it ERRC, which I use actually. I normally use it. I use it when I was in Peneraju. I was also using it in EMGS, and also now in MIPA. This is a very what do you call this, good tools, yeah, for any leaders to actually revisit and understand and align the strategy and plan for the organization. Okay. Right, pre and post-COVID impact. You can see the nature of work has changed. Office versus home, and then nature of engagements, meetings, presentations. I just mentioned presentations, lectures, and dinner and luncheon. Yeah, nowadays people are coming up with the dinner and luncheons, but with, of course, still, although even in the mosque now, there's no social distancing. And I also heard recently that even in Mid Valley, you just need to scan your the MySejahtera only at the car park, and then you go up to the shopping the shops, you don't need to scan anymore. So it depends on the management of the organization, where and how they meant to manage the future and the existing one. So some organizations already starting to have dinner, luncheon, yeah, official and social gatherings. Although nowadays we know the COVID-19 cases are about 20 has dropped from 20,000 to 12,000 now. So change of business model. The question is, either we are already opt for the online learning now and online exam, and people are saying that some of them, they wanted to go back to physical, but for us at MIPA, we actually do online learning, online exam, and we are proud to say that during the pandemic, we are among the advanced professional accountancy body that together with SCANS, we had online learning during the lockdown, online exam as well. So there is we still continue, because there's a change of business model that happened in MIPA itself. So we still have online learning and online exam, which is happening now. Overall way of working, flexibility and work hours. As you can see, myself now, I'm actually at home. I'm still working from home because we still rotate. It depends on the organization and how they want to manage the organization. We still have people at the office and man the office, but we rotate into a few groups so that we can manage the situation. If there is any issue of the COVID-19 that comes about, MCO, CMCO comes back. In my personal opinion, I don't think so, because now it's already opened up and people are already vaccinated. We are already in the endemic. But maybe COVID-19 is there. I'm not too sure because the numbers of COVID cases are still there, like thousands in a day, right? So that one, we watch and see. Right, important components around you. So what you need to know is these are the things that you need to strike a balance in terms of the infra, in terms of the internet, economic outlook and government policy, way of working policy, stakeholders engagement, programs offered, and your team. Meaning that considering and giving all the endemic situation now, we need to make a judgment. When I say judgment, it's up to the person or the decision maker, to the management, yeah, to the senior management, to decide on how and what to do and so forth during the endemic. And that's why the word I use is strike a balance. Because you cannot, because I know there are two types of people in this world. I mean, especially in Malaysia, we are saying about the old generation and the new generation. I consider myself in between. There are things that I feel that I'm not at old. There are part of me that I feel that, oh, I'm not that young. So, but we need to strike the balance. This is what I mean by strike a balance, because I prefer to have the internet online learning, online exam, even online meeting. But once in a while, you need to consider you have a physical meeting. But when you have a physical meeting, of course, you need to make sure that you take care of the requirements of the SOPs. Like, and I attended one event that organized by the Institute Chartered Accountants of India. They actually organized it physically, yeah. And what happened was they ensured that everyone who attended the session, they need to do the saliva test 24 hours before the event. So I think it is an assurance for people to come in that they are all good. Even they are all good and everyone is taking off their mask, I still prefer to wear mask somehow. Yeah, I learned from a friend who is in London. He said that, gosh, he went there, he worked there, and as a chef. Yeah, so he went there and he told me, Novi, I was the only one wearing mask in the public transport, and the others are not. And one of the guys came to me and said, "Are you sick, sir? Are you okay? Are you well? Are you not well?" So he said, "I'm well. It's just I prefer to wear mask because he's coming from Malaysia." So I think, and another friend of mine went to the stadium, the football match, I think between Liverpool and I can't remember another team. They are all like normal life today. So many of the countries like Turkey and so forth, they are all going through the normal life today and not even wearing masks. To me, in Malaysia, if you ask me, if I'm a Malaysian government, I would say that I allow everyone open as usual, but make sure the simple SOP that we need to follow, not so strict like last time, but the mask is still on. Somehow, I think it's good the mask is still on, because sometimes, you know, last time when people sneeze, we always say, bless you, right? Or for the Muslim, Alhamdulillah, yeah, we would say that, very good. But nowadays, when people sneeze, yeah, everyone was like looking at you and like, oh my God, who's this guy? So I think it's good that you have a mask on, this to protect you and also people around you. Yeah. Right. Right. Okay, there are a few points to consider. Like when I mentioned impact of pandemic, the right decision. These are the things that I think I've covered this just now. And when you make a decision, you need to strike a balance. This is what I described just now in the slides. So as a leader, what do? You need to make the right decision, or so-called not to say a preferred decision. It cannot be that you as a leader, you want to ensure that you take care of certain group of people. You must know what is the direction or what you want to achieve. And you convince them by telling this is the reason why you're doing it. So that's what you do as a leader. Yeah. And it equipped with all those things I mentioned just now. Yeah. And then what do you want? What the objective of business? So all these things you need to be able to articulate, and you need to be able to explain why and so forth. Even for example, working from home, you cannot be like dictating people to work every single minute, because working from home is practically like 24 hours, but it's just that minus your sleep time. And in between that, you have the flexibility that you know that your people are working, as long as you measure them with their outcomes. I think that is a very flexible working hours, I would say. Yeah, it's no longer with the punch card. I don't know, some people will not agree with me, but I do believe, I think you all have seen or have heard or not about Netflix, right? I saw somewhere they talk about the Netflix staff and how they work and so forth. They are actually self-disciplined organization, people who are actually being honest to themselves, yeah, to be being honest to earn the money, every single cent or penny that they are earning from Netflix. So meaning they have a very disciplined society, disciplined environment, disciplined organization and stuff. So this is what I think the future will be. And I believe in that environment as well. How do you ensure sustainability of the business? Assess the operational requirements. So the sustainability of the business, we have to look at it. Sometimes people still do the old way of doing it. I'm sorry to say here, but if you look at example like digitalization, quite a number of companies who are not who are involved with printing and so forth, somehow, I think they will tell you that somehow there's an impact in terms of their revenue or income because of the pandemic and how we move into the infra and also the digitalization today, right? Because people no longer looking at books. There are some of them, they love to use the soft copy. They just use PDF. They can just scribble using the stylus. They can write there and make note and make changes, save into a few versions, yeah, and edit and so forth. So I think this is how moving forward. So I think it's quite pity for those organizations who are involved in the era where the industry is actually doing very well in the past, but now it's being impacted. This is where they need to ensure to sustain, they need to diverse, or they need to do something to reskill and upskill. Yeah. So that is important for the business. How does your staff or team members perceive you? What do they expect from you in front? Okay, this is for the leader to ensure that all these things are being equipped for your staff. Yeah. All right. And then people are also talking about funding, like they have limited fund. Yeah. How do we manage? So I did mention about online learning like MIPA. Yeah. We have a collaboration with CANS. So that's how we come up with all this online learning and online exam. Yeah. And then so you need to see whether is there any pay as you use items, like in order for you to move forward during the endemic. Because during this time, it is where, and this is, for example, people used to do payroll online, hard copy, or people used to do payroll using Excel. But nowadays, there are a lot of software that is also available in the market, yeah, like HR Easily, like kakitangan.com. So all these things are the payroll services, for example, that the software is available and it's cheap, yeah. So then there is a shift, because there's a shift in terms of how you do things, how you perform your work every day. So this is the consideration that you need to give when it comes to during the turbulence time or during the testing time. Yeah, exam system. I think at the university, it depends whether some universities still have a closed exam or is that open book exam. Yeah, and then is how do you invigilate the exam? Yeah, or is it that the exam is all 100% exam, or some are just also with coursework element inside? So these are the things that you need to see how is the progress of other education system and industry, not just in Malaysia, but also outside of the country, whether they are moving towards that direction or not. If it's not, if you are there and following that direction, meaning that you are okay, I just need to fine tune. But if it's not, you need to see whether what would be the right direction that you want to go forward in future. Yeah. I did mention about hybrid approach, yeah, mix of traditional and new way, or adopt the new way. So it is up to the organization to adopt which one that they want to prioritize. Yeah. All right, this is some example of I say that key strategic areas in terms of strategy. For example, for education, we look at international marketing, maybe how in Utah, for example, can work with EMGS as agents, engagement with agents or EMGS itself, and then the stakeholders and how you manage the stakeholders, the engagement with your stakeholders, be it the Ministry of Higher Education or KDNK or immigration for the international students that's coming to Utah. And then how do you manage the internal or the human capital, yeah, the retention and maybe the new talents that actually more versatile, for example, and then be able to cope with all these changes. And then the education where you need to review and revisit the current program offerings, yeah, whether it's relevant or not, because maybe some of the syllabus, yeah, of the institutions or universities, they are still maybe at that time before the pandemic, I was teaching all those that relevant to the industry before the pandemic, but now, especially during after the pandemic, which is coming to endemic now, quite a number of changes that happen in the world that we need to cater and try to tailor to what is required in the market. Yeah, and then did a bit of research, right? Research excellence. Yeah, which areas that actually the best that we need to go into. Yeah, so this is some examples that I'm sharing here. Yeah, this is just to drill down to it. Yeah, this is the ERRC that I mentioned just now. And then in order to manage the change, I think I didn't have the slide here. Suddenly I struck my mind about managing change. You need to see whether you can do upskill. You can send the existing human capital, the people that you have in your organization for training to equip themselves with the latest development, and also to reskill. For example, the Department A is no longer relevant in your organization, but you will keep the people. In order to keep the people, you reskill the people, send them for training. So I believe you understand what does it mean by upskill and reskill. Yeah, upskill is to enhance further the subject matters so that you can send the person for training and so forth. Reskill is actually you are actually teaching and sending the person to another what they call this area of skills. Yeah, reskill. That's why I call it reskill. So if the person is actually last time was in admin, suddenly now you need to reskill the person to become an accountant, right? So these are the things that I think is very, very important and relevant to any organization in order for you to prepare yourself during the endemic. So the leaders in the organization during this endemic and situation that we are facing today is very key. Because I can see quite a number of organizations depending on the decision made by the leaders. If the leaders are not, in a way I would say, good enough, or not equipping himself or herself with the latest requirements, I would say that the organization will not be at the front place. It is going to be left behind because this is important. Yeah. And as example I mentioned just now, if people are involved with the printing business, for example, it is about time for them to look into how they can enhance their business by going into the scanning business, for example, rather than printing. Because this is, maybe printing is still required, yeah, but the volume is not as high as before, yeah. And the worst case was a case of Kodak, right? If you know about Kodak, I'm not sure about the new generations. The students today, they were born and they realized that there's already digital camera and digital phone. Yeah, people like me, I would say I'm lucky because I was born in the era where we experienced the analog, we experienced the printing methods, printed materials, and at the same time, we also grew from printing materials to printed materials to technology, right? Last time I still remember I have this phone called Nokia, and the Nokia is the analog phone, and that's the most the Nokia can do. Where you stand, I don't know whether some of you can remember when we put the phone, it can stand. Can you imagine how thick it was? It can stand, and then if you put somebody call you, it can move like 360 degrees or 180 degrees. Wow, that is considered superb already at that time. And it cannot. There was no WhatsApp, there was no Facebook, there was no social media. It was just SMS, right? So then it evolves, right? It evolves from the analog to digital phone, right? So that's where how the research has helped the organization, that the company, the phone company like iPhone, Samsung, and so forth, to be able to keep up with the technology. Yeah, or for those organization I mentioned just now about Kodak, right? So Kodak, when you want to take picture and send the camera, if you, I think you can recall or not, that there's a call negative, right? There either you can buy a 12, 18, or 36 number of pictures, in a way. So when you after you have taken the photo, you took out, put it back, send to the Photoshop, then they develop the photos for you. So if at that time your eyes were shut, and that's it, the photo will be like that forever in the entire of your life. So it happened to me, like when and if you forgot to put the negative inside and you take picture, that's it. You're not going to have the pictures for the rest of your life. But today digital is so superb. You can even take pictures and look, oh, not nice. Oh, my hair not nice. oh yeah, I think my smile is not big enough. One more. So these are the examples of the technology that actually help us in our daily life, and that actually is very good. There's a pros and cons to it, but I would say majority are more towards the advantage of it. Yeah, I mean, these are the details on the monitoring. If you want to bring it to the organization, we talk about the high level, and then you bring it down to from the strategy, and then come down to the action plan. So this is the example of how you can ensure that whatever that the plan that you have put in place will be delivered and action being taken. So this is how. This is the how. This is the how. I think, yeah, that's about it about my talk today about the leadership during the what they call this testing time. I think I want to open it for maybe Q&A. If there's any further questions, so that I can share more with you based on your questions. So, Mr. Yap, I pass back to you.
Yes, thank you very much, Novi, for your very insightful talk on, especially at this critical juncture where we are still facing a lot of challenges and volatility, especially during this pandemic crisis. At the end of the day, I think the greatest takeaway will be possibility, the need for us to be adaptable, to be flexible, to be versatile, for us to survive during this critical stage, right?
Yeah.
Just a reminder as well, for those who have questions or any comments, feel free to type it out in the chat box. We will go through them. Now, to kick off the Q&A sessions, we have in fact received particular questions which has actually been pre-sent. This question will touches on fintech, which is actually the in thing now. The question goes like this: what are your opinions on fintech, and how do you think that it will affect the future of accounting? Really a good question, meaning we should relate the application of fintech towards the practices of accounting?
Okay, thank you, Sam. That's a very good question. I think,
indeed.
yeah, fintech is for those who are doing accounting. Don't be disturbed about fintech will be taking over, because I know it can be it's a new area, a future thing, and I can see some universities. I'm the advisory board of universities. They have already got the fintech program that been launched in their accounting school itself. So to me, in my personal opinion, fintech is the future, but it doesn't mean that the accounting need to be, or they call this, you need to forget about accounting. And when you talk about accounting, you need to be very specific. What kind of accounting? Maybe fintech is enhancing what is accounting, particular accounting work that been done, and is enhancing the work that I mentioned just now. I mean, in the specific accounting area. Because if you look at it, right, if you enroll yourself in Utah during the BA Honors in Accounting, the accounting is to prepare yourself to be a person, a wider perspective, not just necessarily a bookkeeper. So this is the area that you need to be clear. Yeah. So when you go in, you attend the class with Mr. Yap. Maybe you attend the class with Mr. Yap for tax and certified financial planner, right, Mr. Yap? So this that is you need the basic the accounting course to come in, but then you actually will be diverse to any other specific areas. Yeah. So to me, fintech is the future, but then it will actually take over certain areas, which is to help out and enhance, and not necessarily everything. Yeah, that's my reply, Mr. Yap. Yeah.
Okay, my comment is this. Of course, accounting-wise, it always exists, but it has to be in such a way that good representations of the issues that happen. To me, accounting is just a recording and represent it in a way that it is useful to the readers and so-called pass a message to the reader. What is the transaction all about, whether it's fintech or non-technological based tools, right? So accounting actually play a very important role that to capture it. It's like a photograph, like just how you mentioned, it's a camera. Photograph it, present it, the right message to hit your target audience.
Yeah,
that is the key issues that need to be taken into consideration.
Yeah.
Okay. Any so far I still haven't got any questions that has been posted up. Just the only questions that you present to us. So we wait for a short while for any questions that you would like to pose it. Please feel free to just type it out in the chat box provided.
So I think we're waiting. There's a question.
Yes.
What is your
Okay, now let me read through. Sorry, I'm just running up. What is your opinion on education institution offering 3 or 4 years accounting program on a full online basis? Would this work? Meaning, I think what it's trying to tell is that purely on the online presentations, would it be workable or effective in a way? Yeah, over to you.
Yeah, thanks. I think, like I mentioned earlier, if we have lived in the environment where everything is online during the lockdown, and some of the students actually have graduated and their convocation is actually online, I believe it's going to work. I believe it is going to work. It's just that the one element that is lacking is the human touch, right? In terms of how the connection between me and Mr. Yap, for example, this is so far. Well, yeah, Mr. Yap, this is so far. Yeah, with all of you here, I can see your faces, right? So that is the part is lacking. That's why we can opt for hybrid if you want to. So meaning that if for the 3-4 years degree or program, if you want to hold it, maybe you can do it like not that frequent and many like before, right? So example, sometimes you can have a tutorial effectively in the class. Yeah. Sometimes you feel that oh, I need, maybe the lecture can be done via online. Yeah, because it's like you are teaching, you are speaking, you are telling. I think it's good to go online because you have a big group of students. But when it comes to tutorials, small classes or discussions, sometimes it's good to have the breakdown of students to small groups, and you can also do physical activities. So I think, but that one I leave it to the management of university to decide, because like I said, that's why the word I use, strike the balance just now, is very important. Because if you try to do everything, come to class, sometimes the advantage of having the pandemic is we used to be online now. One meeting after another meeting is just online. We don't need to rush to go to the venue. Right? That's very superb and beautiful. Yeah, especially people like me that sometimes I have back-to-back meetings in a day. Today Sungai Long, suddenly from Sungai Long gonna pergi Cyberjaya. Wah, very fun, you know. And then rushing. So I think with this technology is very good. I think that one, as I mentioned, you can see the percentage of the teaching and also tutoring, whether you can break it down so that you can actually get the a small percentage for the discussion face-to-face and physical.
Yeah, very well said. My comment is this: of course, there's no perfect tools in terms of deliverables of education or even meeting for itself. But definitely, by Zoom, the extra edge will be convenient, right? Like you said, it's very convenient. You can actually do it, perform it in any way around the world, 24 hours for that matter. But in terms of effectiveness, there's another factor that to be considered as well.
Yeah.
So we have
I think there's a further point there, Mr. Yap. He said, thank you. I was targeting on youngsters who wish to work and study online.
Yeah.
That is the reason I asked. A different target of young learners, just my thought. Yes, because yesterday I had one exam committee meeting. We talked about, there's one person who was actually the lecturer also from one of the universities. He said, I'm old, I'm used to the old way, so the exam script, everything also I want to print. Then he saw the young lecturers were actually marking using, a stylus and marking online or marking on the tab. So he said, hey, why must I print? I can just do that, So when he started doing it 1-2 times, he said, oh yeah, this is much better. He can scribble there, he can do whatever he likes. So this is just like you mentioned, young learners. There are students nowadays, they prefer to have online. Even my own daughter, she's studying online and also for exam. Just for info.
Yeah, true. I think end of the day is the keyword is adaptability. We need to adapt to the new technology. We need to catch up with the Jones now. So in order not to be outdated now. So that's right. Yeah. Or else we will be so-called outdated and also can't survive during this so-called, it's a fast-paced environment.
Very fast.
And you have to keep pace with the latest technology in this manner.
Yeah. You can ask any questions.
Yeah, feel free.
Not necessarily relating to Utah. It can be anything in life. I don't mind answering.
Oh.
No, as long as it's relevant to the topic. Yeah, so it's okay.
Again, if you still have any questions, any comments,
what strategy helps you perform at your best?
What kind of strategies, perhaps your lifestyle, or in a way that what are the effective, especially to survive during this very tough, difficult times, I would say.
Yeah. What I was sharing just now about the table and everything, actually what I have done in Nepal myself. Yeah, it is when the best strategy is, that's why when I put there, you need to make a bit of research. It's not, I didn't mean research by the universities, okay? It's the research that as a leader, you need to be able to know what's happening around you. And then, and especially for COVID-19, it's very obvious that around the world at that time, China already locked down, India already locked down, Malaysia has not locked down in 2020 January. I still remember I had a meeting with the Accountant General Office in January 2020. But at the back of my head at that time, I was telling my management team, I said, guys, everywhere around the world is already locked down. Malaysia will come to our turn. So let's check. This is a checklist I'm talking about. That is the step that I took. I look at it like, what do we have in the office today? How many people having laptops? How many people have been using just personal computers? Yeah. So I said, please prepare ourselves that we are going to be locked down. If it's not locked down, also fine, never mind. But we prepare ourselves. Yeah. So what we did, we shift to everyone having laptops. We shift that we subscribe to Zoom, we subscribe to Microsoft Teams and so forth. We paid everything, done everything already, right? And then we digitalize and scan whatever that we can, the important documents that we want to do for our work. So a lot of things, some already being scanned, but what I'm saying is there are things that still important, because if lockdown, you cannot go to office at all. So at that time, I still remember only payroll that the government allowed to go 2 days only to complete the payroll. But then we prepare everything. So when the lockdown happened, we actually smiled. A lot of companies at that time, they kancong, and then they will say they baru mau order laptops lah, just about to order this what they call this server lah, whatever lah. Everything is already not sold because it's already highly demand at that time. You already taken a step further, a step in advance. I think that make a success if you strategize well. Yeah, just to answer that.
I think to add in further to that, I think the most important is one has to be sensitive, to be aware of what's happening in the external environment, and we must anticipate. I'm not to say we are fortune teller, we know what's going to happen. At least we don't have the crystal ball. Yeah, we don't have a crystal ball. At least to anticipate what are the likelihood, and then prepare ourselves to face all these eventualities. So we have to be prepared in a prepared mode in a way. Yeah.
Yeah. Agree. Yeah.
I think we have a new questions just thrown in. What strategy helps you perform at your best? I believe that she want to ask how well can you perform in a way. Yeah. Over to you. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I answered this just now. That's the answer actually. Yeah, what strategy helps you perform at your best? So by me preparing myself with all those things that I mentioned. So that's the what I call it, the strategy that I use. Yeah. And I think to add on further, remember the ERRC grid that I mentioned just now? That is very, to me, is very effective too, because every year, whenever you want to do a strategy of the organization, you revisit your strategy, whether it is actually workable or it being achieved or not, and looking at it and then categorize it into the ERRC grid. With that, you can actually perform much better, because you are not going to carry forward whatever things that you think is not effective. Yeah, and then you create new ones. So all these things happen not just because you as a leader, but also with people around you who actually contribute for the success of the organization. Yeah.
We have another question here. Do you believe professionals such as accountants are better leaders in the business? Can you share your experience and hope you have on how you will train an accountant to be a leader with a vision so far, foresight into the future? I believe it's a very interesting question, because a lot of people have their perceptions that accountants, they are just a figure man, So in terms of management leadership, they will fail miserably, right? So perhaps over to you, Jim, for your comment.
Yes. Thank you for the question. It's a very good question.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Hope you have. Yes, I have. So if you look at my profile just now, right? Actually, at the beginning of my job, I started as an accountant, worked in finance department all throughout until I became the CFO of Getronics. But then I realized that when as a CFO, I had already gone into a strategy and so forth. Right. So the key word here is you need to become more rounded person. Okay, people always say accountants are square. So you need to be more rounded person. When I say rounded, means you are well versed in many areas. Yeah, when people talk about finance and accounting, you can. When you talk about business, you can. Right. So what happened in one of my jobs, I actually exposed to do business development as well. happened to be, it was the accounting services outsourcing, accounting outsourcing services. So I need to present. Accountants are normally a type of people who they don't like to present, they don't like to talk, so they are very shy, not confident kadang-kadang in front of people. But this one need to be trained. Then what happened was, at that time I started doing all my PowerPoint slides, and then how to convince people to buy the services. So it is important and crucial, because accountants are not just talking about numbers, because good accountants, they need to be able to articulate and mention to the management about the future, about how you see the direction of the organization, and by helping you with the historical information. Because historical is historical, but what is important is your forecast. How do you do your forecast? That is where you come in with strategy, then you get the input from the market, people from the industry, and if in the organization, you talk to the respective departments that actually involve, example, marketing department or sales department, who are talking to the people on the ground. This is where you can get information, so that you can talk and comment well, especially during the budget preparation process, right? So the question earlier, I saw that, do you think that accountants are better leaders in the business? If you ask me, first, I'm biased because I'm an accountant. So the answer is yes. Why I say yes? Because the word I use is, because we are rounded, we are versatile, we know how to read and interpret financial statements. So you know how to drive the organization to achieve a better financial results. So that is an advantage for an accountant to become a leader, because if you are not an accountant, you need to learn how to interpret the financial statements. If, say, for example, you go to the company, you look at the balance sheet, you look at the P&L, what happened to the past 5 years. That's what I do when I go to any organization. First thing I ask from the finance is, give me your financial statements for the past 3 years or 5 years, so that you know what actually the performance of the organization. Then from there, you start developing like problem statements. What are the things that you need to dive in? What are the things you need to do better? And then you get to engage with the people around you, understanding the organization, and from there, you will actually manage it much better in terms of your strategy. So I hope I answer your question, Mr. Ong Ui Woon. Yeah, thank you so much. It's a very good question.
Yeah, definitely it's a good question. But just to add in further to that, I believe accountants mainly, they are introvert persons, right? They're introvert, and so one way out is one need to be good, sound in communications, conveying of the messages behind the figures. I believe one aspect that accountant to cultivate is in terms of innovativeness and creativity. This will help you to present well your figures to your prospect client. This is the key aspect that one need to look at.
One example I want to share to expand to that, when you talk about innovation, when I was a CFO, for example, accountants always abide by the rules of, okay, this is what amount being budgeted for. So say example, the amount budgeted is 500,000. Suddenly, the one big business coming, and then it's supposed to give you a revenue of 2 million, and you need to burst that budget to spend about maybe 600,000. Sometimes, sorry to say, sometimes accountants who are not with business acumen will say, cannot, this already, exceeding your budget. Oh my God, for sake of the business, you can just reclass the budget. You can do that. You can do it later. Just accommodate to the requirements, get the business in. I think we need to be supportive in terms of that. So that's why people say, today, accountants of finance, they are no longer the back office, but they are the partner to the business. This is what it means by that. Yeah.
In a way, they play a very critical role in advising the management to move forward. This is an important thing. And they have to be flexible in such a way that actually they can, in a very good positions to actually upscale the business to a more higher level. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
In my personal opinion, whenever we face difficulty, it is not just about organization. It is about how you manage it. on personal basis, you also will face issues and problems. So you can always relate all these experiences and how you want to do things better, not just in the organization, but also in your life. To me, whatever that I shared today, I hope that it can be used as a tool for you to, some people say that because of the pandemic and becomes the endemic, very, uncertain, a lot of uncertainties, this is a way for you to reset, and reset and take a step back and then try to strategize and move forward so that you can achieve or go to a greater heights. I think that's all my last word to all. So I wish all of you all the best, and thank you for listening to my talk today.